Okay, welcome everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. We're back in with chapter 8 of the Story of Our Lives by Rabbi Yaakov Klein, which of course is going through the amazing story of Rabbi Nachman, the lost princess. And we're at the beginning of the second section of the book, which is called Night. The first section up to chapter 7 was called Dusk, and now the second section begins, chapter 8 is called Night. And this, of course, is the beginning of the redemption. It's the beginning of the process of freeing the princess. And 1 second.
Hi, sorry, we can't hear you guys really.
Can everyone hear? Is it a one-person problem or is everyone's problem?
Right here, my mother cannot hear. It's a little bit low. It's very low.
I think it must be your volume. It's working for everybody else.
All right, let me leave and I'm going to join back in, okay?
Okay.
Is anybody else having an issue hearing us? Everyone else is good.
Okay. Everyone else is good.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so the just to recap where we're holding here, the viceroy came into the palace of the kingdom of evil, really, and he went in and he saw the beauty of this palace, and he saw that the existence of evil is not what we might think, and really the palace was beautiful, and there was beautiful food and music, and it was no one really noticed him, no one tried to stop him. When we're going down that type of path, sometimes it's very easy, and it's not what we expect. And he found himself there, and he found that not only was he able to find the princess there, but the princess is the queen of this realm, and meaning the incredible power of the princess was usurped by the evil side. And as we discussed in some of the last shiurim, part of our job is to reunite ourselves with that power that's within us, and with that power that's within some of those that are around us, and to be able to channel it in the right way. So the viceroy finds himself there, and she recognizes him, and he recognizes her, and they begin to discuss. And that's where we're holding right now. So, you want to read this part?
Yeah,
go for it.
So let's read inside. So as Rav Gisselson mentioned, this is the part of the book that starts called Night. It's indicative that we're going to be going through some tough times before ultimately there's any before the ultimate redemption, let's call it, on a personal level, on a general level. There's that night. And I think it's on purpose that the first chapter of Night is called Stirrings of Redemption. I think it's an idea that before any redemption, there's going to be tough times, right? It's gonna be hard before it gets easy. Okay, so let's go. So he then asked her, "How did you get here?" "It happened when my father." So she answers back, "It happened when my father, the king, threw those words from his mouth. May the no good one take you away." She answered, getting messed up with the grammar here. That's what she answered. "This is the place of the no good." The viceroy told her that her father was in so much pain and had searched for her for many years. "How can I get you out of here?" he asked. She said, "It is impossible to get me out of here unless you choose for yourself a place and remain there for a full year." So that's the beginning. That's the entirety of this chapter. It's a short chapter, but there's ideas to be discussed here.
Okay, so let's start here. There's a few important ideas that Rabbi Yaakov Klein brings over here. First and foremost, that I'm sure we can all relate to on some level, is this statement that the viceroy says to her, which is Heich bas lakan. How did you get here? So the first important understanding of this statement is that, sometimes we're not ready to start finding the princess. Sometimes those people around us are not ready to start finding the princess. It takes Sometimes, it's something that we say in the Welt, so something that's a regular statement in the world, which is sometimes you got to get to some type of rock bottom first before you're ready to move, before you're ready to receive something good. Hey, Breslov, how did you get here? So sometimes there's another way that this is said. Heichan ani ba'olam. Adam Arishan said, "Where am I in the world? Ayeka, where are you? How did you get here?" I said this statement one time that we can say to ourselves, "How did I get here?" And someone said to me, "It's not about the past. How did I get here? It doesn't matter how I got here." That's not what that statement means. When a person steps back and says, "How did I get here?" it's a recognition of, I can't believe where I am right now. I can't believe the place that I'm in. And sometimes we have to start from that place to be ready to move forward. I speak often to people who are having, difficulties with their children. And maybe sometimes I spoke to someone today. Sometimes it's problems with drugs, whatever it is. They're having a very difficult time. They're mamish down a difficult path. And very, very often, that child is not ready to change yet. That child is not ready to take control of their own path, to take responsibility, to acknowledge that there's something wrong. They're not ready yet. And there's nothing you can do until someone is able to look at themselves and say, "Wow, how did I get here? I can't believe where we are right now." And that's the way this starts off, right? The princess finds herself in this place. Rabbi Yaakov Klein says that the words "Heich Breslov," how did you get here? The first letters of those three words spell out hevel, which means vanity, which means sort of living on the surface of the world without any thought, without any depth, without any pathway. And so she finds herself in this place. And she's all over the place. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't understand what's happened. She's been kicked away from her father, and she has only feelings of regret and pain with that relationship. She thinks her father doesn't want her, and she's uprooted. He says over here, I'm going to read this. She relates how, like an unanchored ship lost at sea, her perceived lack of unconditional connection to the dock of holiness caused her to be swept away and controlled by the furious waves of evil. And the wicked are driven like the troubled sea, unable to rest. Someone who finds himself in such a situation is lacking stability, is lacking a path, lacking vision, right? Lacking relationships, lacking a connection.
And I think lacking belief in themselves. That they could be any different.
Yep.
I think that's the
100%.
The biggest thing. One of the beautiful ways about the way with Yaakov Klein's parish of what everybody here represents, and I believe it was Rabbi Nachman's intention, is that the waking up of the princess, so to speak, it comes from the viceroy and his recognizing of her, which we discussed a little bit last week, and now he's pushing her further. Like, how did you get here? How did I end up like this? It has to come from within a person themselves, right? If you're talking about having other people that you're concerned about, whether it's a friend or a child or whatever it is, and you're willing to do everything you can so this person would just straighten their life out, it's not going to come from your actions and your good intentions alone. Like, that person has to look at themselves in the mirror one day and say, essentially, that any conversation between the viceroy and the princess are things that are happening within a person themselves. The person has to be able to have that conversation with themselves in the mirror, which is a hard conversation. Like, how did I end up here, amongst this hevel?
Yeah.
Living a shallow life.
I think we're going to see that a lot of these ideas that we're going to explore in this chapter, which I think are going to take much longer than I thought. Baruch Hashem. A lot of these ideas really. They are ideas, like we talk about sometimes how this story is not so linear. And really, we are the princess and we're the viceroy. But we can also see those relationships between the viceroy and the princess in our relationships with other people as well. We're going to see how these things overlap and kind of are all-encompassing in different relationships. And what Shmuley was just saying over here, that it's the viceroy that wakes up. The viceroy, we have to remember, represents that inner holy point of a Jew that never goes away. So first of all, it's something that we always have to remember, is that the soul of a Jew always remains pure at the deepest levels. We make mistakes and we do things that we're not supposed to. And sometimes we self-sabotage. Sometimes we cause our own pain. Sometimes we cause other people pain. And we go down these pathways. And it looks on the outside like we're pretty not pure. We're pretty dirty. Chas v'shalom. But one of the most important teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, of Rabbi Nachman, is that the Chelek Elokam Mimal, that deepest soul of a Jew, cannot be dirtied, cannot be sullied, cannot be touched. And it's that part that's within us. Like, sometimes people think of the concept of rock bottom, of Hey Baslekan, how did you get here? How did I find myself here? That it's like a negative thing. That I'm realizing that I'm so low that there's nothing else for me to do. What Rabbi Nachman's telling us over here, Rabbi Yaakov Klein is showing us, is that recognition at rock bottom that I make of myself is exactly the opposite. It's finally that I've gone through all the layers of my own existence until I got down to the deepest aspect of my soul, which is that inner holy point. And at that moment, that holy, deep aspect of me wakes up and says, whoa, hold on a second. How did we get here? How can I be here? Rock bottom is not something that is the last resort. It's actually that point that wakes up the deepest part in us, the deepest, most pure part in us, right? And allows us to see the world and say, wow, it's time for me to do something. It's time for me to make a change. So we should remove any negative connotations that we have to this concept of rock bottom. Rock bottom is in from this perspective, and in the life of a Jew, is a holy time. So we know that in Chassidus it's an important concept of Yerida Tachlis Aliyah, that whenever we go in a Yerida, whenever we go down, it's only for the purpose of bringing us closer to Hashem. So therefore, when we find ourselves in that place where we're low down, and we start to make this realization, we should never get depressed. We should never think that we're too far away from Hashem, that there's no hope for us. When we're down in that place, it means that we're about to go very high. We're about to make some kind of amazing change, an amazing connection to Hashem. So that's where we find ourselves right now. The inner tzaddik wakes up and sees where we are. And so, at that moment, realizations happen. We begin to see our lives with a different perspective. So Rabbi Yaakov says at the bottom of page 159 that the viceroy begins to tell the princess what really happened. And what does that mean? It means the inner nature of a person, that holy aspect of us that really senses truth and really senses Kedusha, tells us, you know what? Something else was going on this whole time. The viceroy tells the princess that really her father was destroyed. Her father was so upset. And not only that, he's searched for her for many years. He's been looking for you. You're not that terrible person that you thought. These paths that you were traveling down and this place that you find yourself is not because you're a terrible person. Your father has been searching for you. You're amazing and you're holy and you're special and your father has been searching for you nonstop for years. So the viceroy, that inner point of us, starts to remind us, wait a second, I have a purpose in the world. I have something to accomplish. I can do something. There's more to me than meets the eye. And it's the point where I can stand up, like Shmuel is saying, and have belief in myself and start to move forward.
So when I look at this exchange here, and it looks like the reason why the princess was able to Heich Baslakan, how did she find herself here? It's because she stopped believing that she was Roy, what's the word for Roy? Like appropriate or connected to, had the ability to be a holy,
fitting
person. She stopped believing that she was fitting for holiness, right? So I was just thinking, like, if you go to people who are down, who are in the place of the low tov, they're stuck in the evil palace, right? Most of them, if you went to them and you said, if you could push this button, and by pushing this button, you would just be holy. You'd be counted amongst the holier, one percenters of holy people in the world. Would you want to do it? Would you push the button? I think almost everybody would say, yeah, of course I'll push the button. They just don't feel that they're there. Right? It's the viceroy, that point that never left that place, who's able to say, no. You're there. You can be there. You can still be there. No matter how far down you were, you can still go back there. No problem. Where's the proof? Look at me.
Right.
I'm the viceroy. Right? I'm never sullied. So it's just being aware of that viceroy that is able to sort of initiate and put into motion what has to happen next for her to get out of there.
I think that realization of the viceroy, that I have a holy point within myself, that's actually the realization that we're saying over here. He says on the top of page 160, like 3 things that the princess hears in her ears. That my absence has caused my father pain. He's been looking for me for many years. You have been sent here to free me. I think, subconsciously maybe when we start to wake up our inner viceroy, our inner holiness, that's actually a recognition that Hashem sent that to me. Hashem's with me. He sent me this desire to get out. This holy, point of like essence of my existence is there because Hashem sent it there, and Hashem wants me to come back. A tremendous recognition. Mamish.
It really, something we spoke about last week, and as far as I think someone had asked at the end of the class, like, how can we help someone who's stuck, right? Who's stuck in the realm of the no good one. And I think this really brings out, it's not going to be by saying, like, look at all the negative things you're doing to yourself, and you're hurting yourself like this, and you're ruining your life, and you could be all of that stuff just reaffirms for them that, yeah, you're right. It's just like Hashem said, like I knew all along, I don't have a place in Hashem's palace. I'm the other way. That's what I'm doing. You're right. So what we said was the eitzah to that, the answer to that is focusing on their good points, which is helping them be aware of their own viceroy. So they, right? If you focus on someone else's good points, I'm thinking about this in terms of, I don't know what this is about, in terms of chinuch with kids, right? I am guilty of this. I'm, too much telling my kids what they're doing wrong. This is not good. This is not appropriate. Stop that. If we would focus on the good points more, and with ourselves as well, that's what enables that awakening to come from within, and that's the only way that real change can happen.
I got a great story. It's actually not a great story. It's pretty sad, but it happened this past week. Very simple little Maisa. That one parent spoke to me that they had a program in the school where there was an incentive program, and if the boys behaved to a certain level, they would get a certain mark out of 3 each week. And if they were able to maintain an average of 2.6 out of 3, then they would get some kind of prize. So it happened to be that they decided, fine, they're going to take the boys who got 2.6 or higher on a trip one day to go go-karting. So all the boys go karting. Go-karting. All the boys go karting. I can't say it. All the boys go driving, and 3 boys are left behind from the class. And the rest of the boys go. The good boys go, the bad boys stay. So this parent says to me, my son got 2.5 instead of 2.6. And some things happened. And so he came back home, and the parents said to him, "What happened? How come you didn't get to go?" And he said, "Oh, I guess this means that I'm one of the bad boys." So the fact that that boy was like left behind and was, sort of excluded from that, made that boy refer to himself and think of himself, "Oh, now I'm one of the bad boys," right? It's kind of what we're saying over here.
Yeah.
It's like if you're gonna wallow in that realm, then you're gonna feel like you're part of it, right? So our inner viceroy wakes up and lifts us up, and in our relationships to other people, both to ourselves and other people, I think the first lesson to learn in the first section of this chapter is that we got to show love to people, to our children, to our spouses, and to ourselves. We got to show love. We gotta give encouragement. What can a word of encouragement do to a person? Have you ever seen what happens when you just say something nice to a person who's not expecting it? Their face lights up. They turn into a different person, right? Our words can be used. How many times do I say this? Our words can be used to tear people down, or words can be used to build people up, right? So let's be the viceroy to our children, to our spouses, to our chaverim, right? And to ourselves. Let's wake ourselves up. Let's give ourselves encouragement and get moving, because the princess is about to tell us how to free her. So let's move on to that point now. So she said, right? She said, "Choose for yourself." We read this already, right? Yeah.
Yep.
"Choose for yourself. It's impossible to get me out of here unless you choose for yourself a place and remain there for a full year." So the bulk of this chapter is dealing with this sentence, "Choose for yourself a place." And there's a lot to talk about here. A lot of good things. So we said just before this that the life of someone who is in a difficult situation, the wicked are driven like the troubled sea, unable to rest. Without doing this work that the princess tells us to do, choosing for ourselves a space, we're all over the place. It's like we're on a stormy sea and everything is up and down, and the wind's blowing us here, the wind's blowing us there. We don't know where we're going. We don't have a path in life. We don't have a goal. We don't see what our purpose is in the world. We're all over the place, like a windstorm, right? We haven't experienced the calm seas yet. We haven't experienced the still calmness of a sea that we can paddle through. So this is what the princess says. You got to choose for yourself a space. A space means stability. A space means, we're going to see this on a few different levels. First and foremost, it means that a person's life has to have stability. I have to, and if I don't have it, whatever level I'm at with regards to stability, I got to work on it, right? I have to have a place that is a home base for myself, where I am comfortable, where I'm secure, where I know that I can always go and I can use as a place to rest, as a place to take care of my own emotional needs and my own personal needs. I must have a place, right? So whether that means, I know some people might say, well, it's easier for you to say you got a house, right? I know of a boy right now who was just in rehab, and the poor boy has nowhere to go. His parents won't take him back, and he has to come out of rehab, and he's supposed to basically go out onto the street until he finds something. What hope is there for such a boy? He has nowhere to live, nowhere to be comfortable, nowhere to be safe, nowhere to be secure, a place from which I can stand firmly and move forward in a positive way. This poor boy, my heart breaks, right? We're going to help him, don't worry. Right? But can you imagine? So every person needs to have this place. On the one hand, it's a physical place of comfort. On the other hand, it also represents sort of taking charge of myself, of my whole existence. and putting myself in a place and saying, you know what? I'm standing here right now. I'm making a line in the sand. I'm no longer going to be the person who is traveling on the stormy seas. I'm no longer going to give in to whatever my problems are, whatever the things that I do that I shouldn't be doing are. I'm not going to give in to my physical desires anymore. I'm not going to give in to my desires to be jealous of people and to spend all my money and all this stuff. I don't know why my video keeps freezing. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, we'll see. Is it still freezing? Or it's okay? So? Okay.
Happens intermittently.
All right. So I have to stand up for myself, and he says over here, unable to access the ever-present core belief for the purpose of gathering his strength and beginning anew. If someone doesn't take charge, doesn't say, I'm making a stand, right? All the person can do is mope, blame others, and mourn his hopeless situation in life. Right? So this is what some people refer to as a victim mentality. If I'm always blaming other people and I'm always lamenting the factors that have caused me to be where I am and putting the blame to everyone else, I have not made a place for myself to grow from. I have not made a space where I can grow.
It's
right?
like a person who really doesn't understand themselves or their core or their drive. They're only able to understand themselves within the context of their circumstance.
Right.
Right? Which is
right.
People, the situation, the whatever it is. Just not them. That's how I.
That's awesome. You hear what he's saying over here? That's very intuitive. In other words, if you're only blaming other people, you're not looking inward and you're not understanding who you are. You haven't made that recognition of self. And so making that recognition of self is building a space from which I can grow. That's choose for yourself a space. You got to choose that space and use it as an anchor. I think also, he quotes, this is an unbelievable passage over here, by the way, page 161. He quotes the Mashgiach of the Lomza Yeshiva. And I'll just read a tiny bit from it. He says, woe to the person, this is on page 162, by the way, woe to the person who has no answer when asked where their place of comfort is, so that they might find relief. For this person, incessantly wandering with no place of comfort, wherein they may find relief from the onslaught of stormy winds we find ourselves in, wandering from place to place without any permanent space within which they may hide and find relief. So I want to bring that out with regards to, let's say, it applies to us, but I think it's especially easy to understand when you think about children. Kids growing up nowadays are facing things that past generations didn't have to face. Yeah, some things are easier, right? But a lot of stuff is much more difficult. And with the information age that we live in, they're bombarded with everything. And the world is up and down, and it's not like, I like to sort of lament the times, which maybe I shouldn't be doing, but the times when I was a kid, and we used to just play outside for like the whole day, nonstop, with friends, play outside, that's it. And now, there's the internet, and the kids are hearing the news, and wars, and riots, and governments, and restrictions, and living through COVID, and all this. It's all over the place. Woe to those children, to the parents of those children, who are not able to provide a place of comfort, a place where children can come and feel safe, feel like they have a home, feel like they have a place where it doesn't matter what's going on in the world, right? So that's I think it's very easy to understand for children, but for everybody, we need to have that place. That's a physical place of comfort. It's an emotional place of comfort, and it's a spiritual place where we're ready to grow from, like what we're saying over here. Yeah?
I think it also, I don't think he uses this word, but I think it also indicates something to do with consistency. like a person who's on, let's call it a spiritual journey of self-discovery, until you know, until you kind of know, okay, this is, I mean, I don't typically like thinking like this, but like, this is the box I kind of want to fill or live in most of the, right? I mean, a space typically is it's a box. It's a house. Well, I'm saying even if a physical space, it's a house, right? It's kind of like a box, right? It's represented by a goal, but in terms of talking about like core values, if we're talking about this in terms of establishing core values for myself, which is what he does go on to speak about. He says later on, the princess is telling the viceroy that if he is to attain the emotional stability necessary to free her, he must allow a single truth to penetrate to the core of his consciousness. No matter what may occur in his life, he always has a place by Hashem, the Mekomo Shel Olam. Right, so he talks about that. We call Hashem, one of the ways we refer to Hashem is Hamakom, which is the place, because everything is contained within Hashem, including us and everything in physicality, certainly, and beyond. But it's a consistency. It's like a rubber. We talk about the rubber band effect. Like no matter how far stretched away you might get from that, you're always going to snap back to that space, which is the core value.
It's emunah.
It's
also
emunah
that no matter what's going on in my world, it's the Breslov Yishuv Hadas and emunah. No matter what is going on in the world, right? I know that
the screen is still frozen.
Are we frozen right now? No. Okay. No matter what's going on in the world, I know that's the place that I've built. Is the place that of emunah. And self-realization, where now I'm working towards growing, I'm working towards connecting to Hashem, and no matter what happens in my life, it's all part of this. It's all part of this plan. Hashem is always with me. Hashem is always guiding me and pulling me to where I'm supposed to go. Right? It's all the same thing. It's all the same idea.
Well, it's emunah in myself that I belong in that space as a Baal emunah, as someone who has emunah also.
Yeah, 100%. So he brings something next over here, which is super important. This concept from Torah Vav of.
Sorry, one second. So we're just getting messages that we're freezing. When the screen is freezing, can you still hear us?
No.
You can't hear us either.
No, you might want to restart the router.
Okay. Should we do that?
Okay, I guess we're going to try to restart the Zoom.
Or is there an internet issue we can maybe resolve?
Are you on Rogers? Just out of curiosity?
Yes.
Because somebody else was telling me that they were having issues with Rogers today as well.
Is your thing plugged in there?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's everybody rejoin in like 2 minutes, okay? We'll see if it works.
Kedai to like unplug that back in, see if that's
I doubt it. Maybe can you I'm gonna just see if it shouldn't make a difference if my family is.
It shouldn't, unless they're like all of them doing it and downloading at top speed, and
be on FaceTime.
It might affect it. Okay, Rav Gisselson is just checking his router situation.
The mic's off. The mic's back on.
wife's also is not working well.
Not working well. Okay, it looks like our internet connection is not the best right now. Apologies for that. If anything significant is missed, we are recording this, so it will be available if you missed anything you feel you need to get back to.
Right. Yeah. So if it's not working and you gotta to step out, we understand. You can't hear us? Everybody, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay.
We hear you, we see you.
Okay, great. Okay, so like this. Rabbi Nachman says in Torah Vav, one of my favorite Torahs, as everybody knows, this concept of the name of Hashem that refers to tshuva. And it's the name of Hashem, which is called Ekyeh. Aleph, Yud, Hey, Yud, Hey. And if you translate that word, what it means I will be. And it's the name of tshuva because he says over there that until someone is doing tshuva, until someone decides that they want to be close to Hashem, until someone decides that they want to change themselves, that they want to grow, it's as if they haven't existed up till that point. I don't exist yet. I'm not living in the world in a way that's impactful, in a way that's meaningful. And if I'm not living in the world in a way that's meaningful and a way that's impactful, then I'm not living. I'm not accomplishing what I'm here for. You hear? So the name of tshuva is Ekyeh, which means I will be. The Aramaic term that he uses over there is zaman lemeheve. I'm ready to exist. This is what this name means. I'm ready to exist. So as long as I haven't made this line in the sand, created this place for myself, from which now I can grow as a person, I can become closer to Hashem, I can become a better father, a better spouse, right? A better friend. And I've made this decision. Once I've made this decision, that means that I've said, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to exist. I'm ready to accomplish something, right? And it's making that decision in this sense that allows us to now move forward. And it's the first step in this whole situation, right? It's the first step that we have to do. Choose a place.
So could we just, there was something I wanted to talk about here, a line that stood out, something I wanted to speak about. So on page 160, it says, a military, when the princess starts to tell the viceroy, this is what you're going to have to do to free me, it says, the lost princess is not a standard captive, so she cannot be freed by ordinary measures. A military raid on the beautiful and orderly palace of evil will not do the trick. So the question is why? First of all, what would that look like? And second of all, why? Why do we need to have this whole other plan of choosing a place and waiting and all the rest of the things that happen as the story continues to unfold? Why can't the viceroy's there? He's found the princess. Princess recognizes who she is, recognizes the viceroy. Why can't they just stand up and leave and, oh, okay, everything's good? In other words, when you hit that rock bottom and you're like, how did I get here? I don't want to be here anymore. You can't just, that button we spoke about before, you can't just snap your fingers and it's all, and it's done, right? So one of the things I was thinking about was, again, if we go back to the different roles of what each one represents, the viceroy is our passion, let's call it, right? And while the viceroy, the princess is our passion. I say viceroy. The princess represents our passion for life, where our excitement and enthusiasm to do things. Whereas can you admit that one? Whereas the viceroy is our inner tzaddik that can never be tainted and never be brought to the side of evil, let's call it. So if we were to, I think what's happening here is it's saying that there's no way for a person's passion to just change like that. If a person has taivas, if a person has desires for let's call it negativity and not for holy things, if that's not where they are, even when they have that moment of looking in the mirror and say, I don't want to be here, they're not changed in that moment. what they can do in that moment is start identifying more with their viceroy. So I was thinking practically what that means is, let's say my struggle is, let's say one struggle that I'm having is, I want to work on davening more, right? I don't have a passion for it yet, but my viceroy tells me that, you know what, I'm a holy Jew, and Jews can go daven. I can go to shul, even if my passion is not there yet. It's almost like the, I don't know if this is right, like fake it till you make it. Like you have something in you that allows you, we didn't get to this part quite yet, where it talks about bechira and your ability to choose, right? The lashon that's used in the story is bachar lecha makom, choose for yourself a place. So this was a beautiful insight I never saw in the story until this book, but he's pointing out that bachar lecha makom. What are you? So simply translated, it means choose for yourself a place. But the deeper meaning that he brings out here is the whole idea of bechira, of the ability to choose. That is your place. You're not stuck in these ways. You're not stuck in these patterns. You have the ability to exercise your free will, right? And you can do that even before your passion is there for the right choices. You're not the passion. You're not necessarily going to start connecting to every mitzvah in this princess dika kind of way. We spoke about in previous weeks choosing one mitzvah and doing that with passion and trying to understand it and connecting with it. You're not going to have that yet. But even before that, you still have the ability to choose.
I think we should all get T-shirts printed up that say, "I identify with my inner viceroy." What do you think?
Well, that's the beginning.
Yeah, that's where we're at the beginning.
We're at the beginning. Yeah.
Jeff is in the business, so he can get that done.
Yeah. Okay. We're on. We're on. So Shmuley started with this next point, which is I think kind of the second last main point of this chapter, which is this idea of, we went through a few steps so far. Right, we started off with the realization of where I am, and we understood that realization is a holy realization. It's not from a place of negativity, and that from that place we can build a growth pattern. That's our place to start, and we need a comfortable physical space. We need security, and we need a place to say, "I'm here, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to be a holy person. I'm ready to move. I'm ready to become something," right? Okay. That's the starting point, and from there we move on to this concept of boicher lecha makom, choose for yourself a place. And like Shmuley said over here, this concept that the ability to choose, that's our place. That's the way that we can move forward. And what does it mean exactly? It's once again a stepping out of a victim mentality and stepping into a redemption mentality, a geula mentality. It's not living in gullus, where woe is to me, and this person did this to me, this person did this to me. I find myself in this place because of all these things that have happened to me. Choose yourself a place means that we're able to stand up and say, I'm ready to move, and I'm going to choose to take those steps. I'm responsible for myself, and I'm going to start making my own choices. And those choices are going to lead me somewhere. He says, in the words of Rav Kook over here, it's a little bit of a scary statement, right? But it's taking responsibility, and it's so important for the following reason. I'll tell you, this is what Rav Kook's words are. One of the foundations of tshuva, page 164, in the mind of a person is the recognition of culpability for his actions, which is an extension of one's faith in his ability to choose freely. So Shmuley said something about this before, which is so awesome. And this is a huge statement that Rav Kook says over here. So, recognition of culpability. That means taking responsibility. You know what? I did this. I have some things that have caused me to get to where I am right now. And I'm going to make the choices that I need to make to get out of here. But why is that so important? Because if we don't take this mind frame, we're missing the whole point. We're missing the whole opportunity. Because it's at that point where I take responsibility and I decide to make these choices, that I look at myself and I begin to understand who I am. And I begin to understand what my challenges are. And I begin to understand from that what my talents are. And if I don't start taking responsibility and finding those things that I need to work on, I'm never moving up. Right? This whole aspect of using free will to take responsibility is laying that groundwork, is making the space where from here I can grow. Or what's the option? What's the other option? Is I just keep blaming everyone else and all the other circumstances, and I never have any self-discovery. I never understand myself on a deeper level, and I never grow because I'm always blaming everybody else and everything else. So boicher, the ability to choose, I'm responsible because I can choose. That is the makom. That's the space from which we can grow. Isn't that totally awesome? That's Rav Kook. Totally amazing. And Shmuley, of course. Yeah. What did you want to say?
Yeah, just on this idea of space, I don't know how you. I think there's so many layers and ways to understand what space can mean. Do you think it maybe means it's more finite here and on a personal level, but like actually having a hashkafa, having a rav, having a shul.
I think I wrote this down over here.
Having a chevra of people that like these are like-minded people like me, and then if I get off track on this or that, I know that this is kind of these are my core people. This is my core place. Like I think it's on so many levels.
No question.
Just choosing a place.
No question. Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah. I mean, we have the shul here, and it's a very special place, and people always say good things about it. And fantastic things. Someone recently came, by the way, and from Eretz Yisrael, and they came, and the person was thinking. He was like deep in thought afterwards, and he said, I didn't understand at first what's happening here, because I came at first and I thought, wow, this place is nice. It feels like Eretz Yisrael. And then he was like, and sometimes it feels even higher than Eretz Yisrael. And he's like, and I was thinking, how that can't be. How could it be? How could such a thing be? Right? Why does this happen? What's the inyan over here? I think this is actually one of the main points, is that you have all these people that are all coming together and all trying to support each other and all try to be there for each other and all try to grow together. It makes a space. It makes a place from which everybody, from that place, everybody can move forward. And it's because of all these people together that this happens. Right? So I think Shmuley is blowing this open. Yeah, you got to have a house and a comfortable place to live in. And then you got to have a beginning point in your growth pattern. And you have to have, I'll have one more after this, let's call it the hashkafa. And then you have to have a community. Right? Takes a village. That's what they say nowadays, right? You have to have a community of people together that you can support each other and grow together. And I'll say one more thing, like the song we sing sometimes. I think that the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov and specifically of Rabbi Nachman saved my life, changed my life, saved my life. Without the Torah of Rabbi Nachman, I don't know where I would be. I don't know who I would be. I can't even imagine, right? So in a certain sense, like Shmuley is saying, having something like we could call it a hashkafa. I think being a chassid of Rabbi Nachman is so much more than just a hashkafa, right? But having the tremendous advice and the spiritual energy that comes along with being a follower of Rabbi Nachman, right? We don't all have to use those words if it upsets anybody, but we're on our path and we have Rabbi Nachman with us. This to me is something that is anchoring and is a space of security and of chiyus, enlivenment and energy and inspiration and passion from where we can move forward. Choose yourself a place. Like this is the place to start from, that you have an ability to move now, to go and really, free the princess. I think, probably this is part of the whole story. Rabbi Nachman wrote the story. I mean, it's the whole thing. Yeah. You guys with me? Yeah? Okay, good. So, I think also, we started many years ago our Wednesday night Likutei Moharan group, which is still going for years. We're starting a new Torah this week, by the way, Torah Chaf 20. And, we're all there every week whenever we learn together as a group that's there for each other, to support each other and to learn together. This group of the book club is a new chevra, right? These are all like subsections of such a space that can be used as a grounding space and a place to move forward from. So, you ready to move to the last point here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last point that Rabbi Yaakov brings over here, before we open it up to comments and questions, is the princess said two things to the viceroy. He said, choose yourself a place, and place means a physical place or a spiritual place or a emotional place. But it also said, and remain there for a full year. Stay there for a whole year's time. A whole year. So I think that might be something to what could go along with what Shmuley was saying about this concept of like consistency, of taking. You can't just you can't decide one day that for many reasons that okay, that's it, I'm changing, I'm moving forward now, I'm becoming a spiritual person, I'm going to try to make the right decisions, right? And it's not a fad diet. You can't do it for a week and then have a binge eating session. you gotta be consistent, and you gotta move forward with it. And it also speaks to the fact that so many aspects of this story are over years, right? This, we said it from the beginning, the journey of trying to free the princess is the point. The story doesn't even have an ending. It says, he finds her in the end, but it doesn't even tell us how he finds her. Why? Because that's the end. It doesn't matter. Right now matters, right? Yesterday doesn't matter. Tomorrow doesn't matter. Right now matters. The present moment of my existence is what matters. It's the journey. It's the journey that I'm on, and the journey is going to be my whole life. And so I'm going to go through ups and downs, and sometimes I'm going to be working on something for a long time, and then I'm going to fall down, and I'm going to remember that fall down is really just preparing me to go really high. And I'm going to go through all these ups and downs. That's the life of the viceroy. That's our life. So we have to get into our minds that I'm making my space, and now I'm on the journey. And it's not going to be quick. But the journey is the goal, not the end, right? Even though the end is also the goal. But you hear what I'm saying. The journey is the goal, right? So he also makes the point that it's interesting. If someone wants to convert to Judaism, there will never be such a thing as an Orthodox Jewish conversion that takes less than a year. And one of the reasons is because the Jewish year is a whole existence, right? Like every point in the year has powerful spiritual energy to it. And so, we're coming up to, soon we're going to be in Pesach time. Well, Purim first. But soon we're going to be in Pesach time. And in Pesach time, we're going to experience this tremendous spiritual power of chayrus, of freedom. And then we're going to go, it's going to be Rosh Hashanah time. Shavuos we're going to have Kabbalah Satira, the influx of wisdom and das. Then we're going to go to Rosh Hashanah, and it's going to be Hischadshus, renewal, the new year, right? The time of the beginning of our growth pattern for that year. And then Yom Kippur, and then every stage of the year is powerful spiritual energy. And before someone is able to decide, I'm going to be Jewish, they have to be able to see all that. They have to be able to experience all that and move into it. So too, with everything that we try to do, he says over here, only after maintaining this level of health for 12 months, each with its own energy, the roller coaster ride of the 4 seasons and all the various holidays, can a person proceed with the certainty that he's truly discovered an island of safety in an unstable world. Right? I know many people who, a few of you are here right now, who started to learn from basically, no real Jewish background, started to learn Rabbi Nachman's Torahs. Maybe from some Rav Arush's books, The Garden of Emunah, The Garden of Gratitude, whatever it is, and saw a tremendous light, right? And was illuminated and inspired by what they saw, and began to move. So what happens that we always talk about? When we first start to make these moves, we start to see some light. Hashem gives us inspiration and gives us light. But then something happens after that. Then Hashem takes that initial gift away, and we have to start doing the real work. Then things get a little difficult, right? And we got to go through that process together with that incredible new inspiration that I found and that wisdom. And when I start to weave that wisdom in to a whole year, to some ups and downs, different holidays, different seasons, different times of the year, then I begin to see how I begin to show and to live a certain level of stability, spiritual stability. And it's from this place of spiritual stability, I believe that's what the space is over here. Spiritual stability. From that place, I can now begin my journey. I can start to begin the work of freeing the princess, right? So that's, I think, Bekitzer, that's chapter 8. Does anybody have any questions or comments to add in over here? We like comments, by the way. So
I can say something. A lot of what you were saying, about identifying and accepting and, taking personal inventory really of what's going on. And the responsibility has a lot to do with, and I keep going back to this, emotional intelligence. And it's really understanding yourself. And it's the core. And I find that woven throughout all of the books that I'm reading. And it's really amazing how what we learn even in the secular world and, what we teach comes right back to our Torah and to the things that we learn on a regular basis here. So I love it.
It's pretty awesome. Thanks, Vered. Anybody else? Sandra.
So, Avra said, can't hear. Avra sent me, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, she sent me a shiur. I listened to this representative out of Israel, and it was talking about the Torah of last week about the golden calf, and it was interesting because what the Rebbeinu said was that Moses came back down and they built the calf, that it actually had to happen because the Jewish people thought they were the chosen and they had nowhere higher to go. Like they didn't have anything to do. So the breaking of the tablets and him going back up and bringing Tshuva back in. And I guess my aha moment was that the golden calf is all the time and every day in the idol and what we choose, and whether we choose to choose the inner study or the study and the good choices, or do we go to the no good? Is it the sports, like all the idols that we choose in the secular world, so to speak. So for me, it just was it was like a aha moment, like, my God, every day I have a golden calf moment. Like I have like all these challenges that come towards me, and what are my choices going to be? And am I going to choose this? And the other thing is that we are men, like the Gula attitude. And so people say to me, oh, I'm in this world, like I just want my kids to be happy, and I just want everyone to be happy. And I always think, well, what does happiness mean? Like that's a fleeting moment. Like we're here to learn and grow. Like I think there's a big misconception out there why we're here. So for me, every day, it's like, can I wake up and be a better person? Some days is better than others. And I love Rabbi Nachman says you can always start like the day fresh at any moment. So I think it was just a couple of things that hit me. It was like, wow, a golden calf is every day. And like, I have all these things all the time. And it just was so profound, like how we bring the Torah to today, to this current moment in time.
That's so fantastic. Sandra, along those same lines, there's a Reb Nosson, like over in the parsha there by the golden calf. He says this idea that goes along with what you're saying. It's so important that you see that the calf was made of gold, right? And when Hashem tells us to start bringing the stuff to make the Mishkan, to build the temple, basically, to build the Mishkan, it's made of gold. In other words, it's the same thing that was that fall. That gold that was used to make the calf, that thing that seemed like it was so low, not only do we move on from that, but it's from that very thing that we end up growing. It's from that very thing that we end up building the Mishkan, right? From the same thing. So it's like, it's such a fabulous realization that you have, that every day I'm experiencing these things, but they're not just things that are pulling me down. They are the opportunity for me, like Vered was saying, to be able to look in and have some self-understanding and to be able to use that as a way to move forward. Or I was going to say from our chapter, to use that as the space from which I can move forward. Fantastic stuff.
That's awesome, by the way, the Reb Nassan and the gold, because that's exactly the princess being in the realm of the no good one.
Yeah.
If someone has a passion for, let's say money, gold, right? And they're using their gold for literally idol worship, that's the princess being in the wrong place, whereas it needed to be redirected.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, have the money, use it for holy things instead.
Fantastic. Anyone else?
See a hand up.
Yeah.
Jeff, can you
Yaakov.
unmute yourself? Or maybe we can't.
There you
Thank you very much. Very, very important question here.
Yeah.
How many t-shirts do you need?
Okay, Jeff. Tomorrow we're working on a design, you and me.
I put it in the chat. You can open up, a sample that he just created for you.
Oh my gosh.
No, I didn't see.
How do you put it in the chat? Oh, I didn't see it. No, it's not there.
That's
That
amazing.
is fantastic. Amazing.
How come I can't see it?
Can I?
It could be it was written just to us. I don't know. Oh no, it says it was to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a PDF file.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
JPEG.
okay.
It's a JPEG.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
So we'll see what we can come up with, guys. Okay, everybody, if that's it, have an amazing week, and hope to see the regulars on Wednesday. If anyone wants to join for the beginning of a new Torah in Likutei Moharan, Wednesday at 9:00. If you want to come onto that, please reach out through the WhatsApp group. Everybody have an awesome, amazing week. Build a space, and let's move forward and grow to next week.
Thank you, everybody.
Shkoyach, everybody. Bye-bye.